All right, so let's just go into the first lesson, and that'll be at the bottom of the first page. You can just scroll down to read the story. And then we get to the power of incremental compounding action. Now, incremental means it gets builds on each other. Compounding means not only does it build, but it multiplies. And then action means don't read about it, don't think about it, do it. And that's where most people go wrong. They're like, oh, I read like these six amazing self development books, but that's it. There wasn't like they didn't know how to incorporate that into their lives. And when you don't incorporate it, when you don't practice it, when you don't live it, where you don't train it, where you don't condition that unconscious competence that makes it part of who you are, then those frames that you broke out of by reading the book, that new perspective, that new vision, resets around your life. And then pretty soon you're back to where you started. All of that brilliant insight and inspiration and passion and possibility, it was just, a passing notion of a book you read. So that's where we're going to shift things around, and we're going to get into motion with your first exercise right now. So give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world. Archimedes. A brilliant little quote about leverage. And with that, we get into really what the heart of this course is about. It's not about new information, although there will likely be a ton of new information on day 4 and day 5 as we get into the like neuroplasticity and NLP and like the neurochemistry of flow, which you can create these amazing flow states, hopefully. Sometimes it takes 5 days, sometimes it can take you a week or two, but where you can have this unlimited energy and motivation and just be totally engrossed. But that's more advanced techniques, and we have to go through this part in order to get to those. But really, it's about learning leverage. So there is immense untapped potential in simplicity and immediate action before you even get to the fancy stuff. A wealth of power in what you already know, and faith in the possibilities and a little bit of leverage can do more than you think. And in this particular case study, the one we just went over, at the end of a year, with just a few perspective shifts and focus alignments and little to no new information, not only had this person secured a pretty cushy position with full benefits that was also work from home, but they had also managed to pay off $30,000 in credit card debt, reduce their monthly expenses by thousands, qualify for $18,000 of grant money, grow their 401k, which their company also did matching, so they've doubled their money there, and save up enough to buy their first house. And that all happened inside of a year with just information they already knew, with just opportunities that were already available to them. And all they had to do was shift their perspective. So that's where we're going to start, because that's where you can find the most power, the shortest learning curves, and the biggest bang for your buck. And we want to start off with a big win with stuff you're already familiar with. So don't neglect the power in what you already know. Like, oh, it seems, tired or toothless or whatever the case may be. There's just immense value there that can be unlocked. And it's one of the three major places we're going to be looking at to unlock the power of your life. And we'll probably look at one throughout each day. Or if you end up going into the longer course, there's 75 days with heuristics and all that fun stuff. So, all said and done, these three simple shift mindset shifts were worth over $100,000 to their yearly bottom line, and we'll go over them again in just a second, what those were. And so keep that in mind as you go through this course, and you won't fall victim to the three most nefarious words in personal development, which are "I already know," and this is absolute killer. So let's talk about the trap of "I already know" and the thousand little lies we tell ourselves. I've had conversations with people where they've told me, I already know how to start my own business, or I don't need help, but that is like after 2 to 5 years of wanting to start a business and never having been able to get anything off the ground. And if you already know, you want to, and aren't making progress after several years, then what's going on? Odds are you're missing something, and you probably don't even realize that it's not information, it's perspective. If you tell yourself you already know, then every new bit of information that goes into your subconscious will come back out as don't bother trying because you're still in the same place. Because after all, you didn't learn anything, you didn't gain any perspective. The words I already know are absolutely damning for your overall motivation and development and growth. So there's subtle nuances and a whole depth of information and power in what you know. It's probably one of the three sources of new power in someone's life. And that was just a different perspective on what they already know. So I want to hammer that one home as strongly as I can. After all, if you already know, then what is there to learn? It's the trap of the ego that programs the subconscious to think that you're stuck in the same place, unhappy with your progress, and have learned nothing. And if you tell yourself that, then you're screwed. So this brings us into our exercise for day 1. And once you develop a growth mindset, empty cup and opening, this is where we open your first door. So don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something. Knowing that you don't know is often a sign of confidence and wisdom, plus the start of gaining the ability to do more. Knowing you don't know is really just knowing what you need to look into next. So, as the Buddhists would say, it's showing up with an empty cup so you can fill it. It's the realization that there are many things you don't know inside of the things that you already do. It's how you find and properly leverage the little hinges to open large doors. So keep that in mind, that the answer is not found by knowing it, but by living it. So what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? This right here is where your life starts to change with exercise 1. Stand up right now, just right this second, and touch 10 things in your house or your immediate surroundings and do something useful, interesting, enjoyable, or productive with them. And don't read any more. Don't go to the next video until you've done that. 10 things, just go do it. See what happens. This is the start of the adventure. I'll see you in the next lesson.